This is Hockey Talk, where we talk everything hockey. I am John.
And I'm Mike.
All right, Mike, let's go. Now, the first topic in tonight's discussion is we're going to discuss the first game of the Four Nations Cup that happened on Wednesday evening, February the 12th. Canada against Sweden. Canada started out really quick, Mike. They took a 2-0 lead. They were also up 3-1. Sweden, man, they didn't quit. I watched the game. They played hard. They tied it up in the third period. And Mitch Marner scored in overtime to secure the victory. Mike, what did you think of the first game for Team Canada?
Like you said, quick start, which was good for them. I thought overall the game was pretty good. Both teams I thought played well. Not surprised. I mean, Sweden. For me, I had them ranked third, which is and Canada second. So I mean, I figured it would be a fairly competitive game. Uh, the goalies I thought were all right. You know. Power play for Canada was good. Obviously, they didn't really have many opportunities. They only have the one power play. Was that it?
That's it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't recall them being any other penalties. And as far as the lines go, I mean, you kind of called Crosby and McKinnon. I didn't. I was surprised that they had those guys together. I thought they would have split it up a little bit more, but I figured. That's what they would do, but they didn't. They kept those two together, and they played really well. McKinnon played good. Crosby played good. That line in general. I mean, so um, yeah, so it's a good game. Looking forward to the game tomorrow night against the States. I think that's going to be the real test for them. So
Right.
see
And
what
we're going to get together with some friends. We're going to watch it tomorrow. I think I'm going to bring my microphone and I might do a little bit of recording and add it to the episode or
happens.
create another episode entirely. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good.
So I was reading some comments about the game on the score page. And multiple people were saying, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, I'm not talking directly, but don't take penalties against Team Canada. You will pay. Mike, let's talk a little bit about Team Canada's power play. Unfortunately, it was a very small sample size. They had one power play. I think it lasted 10 seconds and they scored. What do you think, Mike? Is it true? Don't take penalties against Team Canada?
Oh, absolutely. They've got they'll have five guys on that ice that any of the five can score. I wouldn't take a penalty against them, or I would be doing my hardest not to. And obviously, Sweden learned pretty quick after the first one. So yeah, so you can't take penalties against a lineup like that.
Well, it looks like they're not going to call a whole lot of penalties. Now, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of infractions going on. Sweden only had one power play as well. It was one power play apiece. So, very small sample size.
I think we'll see more penalties in the game against the States than against Sweden. I think.
That's a fair point, which I never thought of. I also want to talk a little bit about the goalies, Mike. Now, Binnington and Gustafsson. Now, how did the goalies look during this match? Now, did you think that Binnington was going to start?
I actually thought they were going to start Aiden Hill, so I'm a little surprised that they went with Bennington. But I mean, you can basically flip a coin. I think for the most part, I did think Aiden Hill was going to get the start though. But at the end of the day, with the talent you know that are on these teams, it's going to be the goalies aren't going to, how do I word it? You're not getting a huge advantage out of the goalies as you would like as opposed to a regular game because I mean you got four scoring lines out there basically. So with four lines that can score, there's going to be more goals in general. And I mean 4-3, I think that's probably slightly above average for what the scoring would be in an NHL game. 7 goals in a game. I think most NHL games are I don't know what the goals per game average is right off the top of my head, but I would believe it's lower than 7. So,
Right.
um, but you're going to see some higher scoring games just because of the talent that's on the ice for these things. So, and not only that, with all of these offensive players, you don't have like a typical third line that's a checking line that
Right.
plays against the
Exactly.
first line. You're not going to see that. So it's the games are a little different, but I mean they're great games because you're seeing the best of the best. So
Okay. Well, let's go on to the second topic. Now, the second topic is last night's game, Thursday evening between the USA and Team Finland. Now, I will admit right off the bat, I was not able to watch this game. I was not home, but I did see some highlights. Mike, what would you take from the 6-1 win by USA over Team Finland? Is this pretty much what you expected?
yeah, I expect. Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting 6-1, but I was not expecting it to be a close game. I figured the states were going to win this game pretty easily. But with that being said, it was close for the first half of the game. It was only like 2-1, and then the floodgates kind of opened after that. But the states are, in my opinion, the strongest team. So, and Finland is, in my opinion, the weakest team. And with that being said, with Heskinen out of the lineup for the Finns, that doesn't help. He would have been their best defenseman. States were also missing Quinn Hughes, who would have been their
Mm-hmm.
their best defenseman. So I mean, each team was losing their best defenseman, but the States are so much further ahead as far as the skill and the talent level. So the only way Finland was winning that game is if they played exceptional defensively and simply outworked the States. But that didn't happen, and
Right.
States won fairly easily when you look at the finals. So
Yeah, and Finland did score the first goal in the game, and then they didn't
yeah,
score again after that. So,
yeah,
like you said, it ended 2-1, I think, in the first period, but then it was just all
right,
the United States after that.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's go on to our third topic. Now that we're going to discuss defenseman Shea Theodore. He was forced to leave during the second period of an opening matchup between Canada and Sweden. He was on the receiving end of an awkward hit with Sweden's Adrian Kempe. What does this mean for Team Canada, Mike, for their defense? Is this a big issue for the team?
I don't think so. He wasn't going to be relied upon as one of the top two, so I think that they're fine even without him. They obviously are downgrading a little bit because they're going to play Travis Sanheim to replace him. And you're losing some offense there. However, if Sanheim comes in, they're going to put him on the third pairing, and then they'll move, probably the better offensive player that was on the third pairing up to the second pairing to replace
Right.
Theodore. So I don't think it's going to hurt the team, to be honest with you. I mean, the team has enough offense as it is, so I don't think that they were really going to rely a huge amount on Shea Theodore's production. Obviously, having an offensive player like him was an asset to have. However, I don't think it's the be all end all type of thing. Um, and the crappy part of this is I have Shea Theodore in one of my hockey pools, so I'm a little bit peeved with him going to be out of the lineup now for they're saying week to week. So I had to make a trade to get Morgan Riley, which isn't really I had to get someone to replace him that could produce a little bit of offense. So I had to make a trade to do that, which I wasn't happy because I was pretty set with the team that I had. But anyways, and it's funny because last week when we talked about this, we talked about potential injuries and
Right.
know,
Yes.
how the NHL teams were going to think about these type of tournaments moving forward, like having if they were to have them during the season. And apparently they're going to because they've already announced that they're going to do the World Cup of Hockey in February of
Hmm.
2026. So, and then I believe 2028. I don't know if 2028 is the Olympics but there's something they said in 2028 as well that they were going to do. So,
Right. Right. I forget when the actual Winter Olympics is. I thought it was next year. I forget. I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure.
yeah, I'm not sure either.
I think it is next year.
Okay.
I I get confused with because it used to be 2 years apart, the summer and the winter, and then COVID happened and everything changed, and I can't remember
Right.
what's what
Yeah.
now off the top of my head
I've
anymore.
lost track of the how they had it all scheduled now too. So I'm not sure
Right,
which
right.
year they've got the Olympics set for, but
But this does this cause a bit of a problem for Team Canada if they were to end up getting another injury? Because I know
Well,
they're not allowed to activate any more players now.
here's the somewhat of a loophole here. So
You
with
found
that
a
being
loophole?
well, I mean, they said today that Kale McCarr couldn't practice due to an illness. So the tournament organizers allowed them to bring Thomas Harley in case Kale McCarr couldn't play. So, you know, I think that if there's injuries, they're just going to be able to replace guys. I mean, obviously, you got to use the guys that are on your roster first. So I don't think you're going to see Thomas Harley play unless Makar isn't able to play as well. So,
Right,
uh,
because you can't have an official game like that with only 5 defensemen, probably, I'm guessing. So,
right. So my guess is Makar is still going to play, but they did allow them to bring Harley into the camp. So,
okay.
which to my knowledge, they weren't going to let teams bring in another player um, unless they had less than 18 skaters. So,
Right, okay. Fair
but
enough.
we shall see.
All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't happen and it's not even an issue, right? So,
Right.
all right. Let's go on to our fourth topic. Now, this is a quote from Connor McDavid after Wednesday's game. Quote, I think it's great kind of trial run, McDavid said with the 10-minute overtime that they had, of course. Something I think the players liked, the fans liked. It felt a little more like the control was in our hands. I don't think really anyone wants it to go to a shootout. That's the whole quote, Mike. Or actually, no, there was more to that quote that I cut off just to shorten the thing. But that's
Yeah.
basically what he's talking about. Mike, is this even possible? Here's Connor McDavid talking about it. We're saying the other day maybe the league doesn't protect him, like he should, but does the league listen to him? What do you think?
I would hope so. I mean, I love the 3-on-3 overtime. Do they do 10 minutes? I don't know if they would go to 10 minutes, but maybe they will experiment and go to 7 minutes because I know that's come up as well. If the
Hmm.
league doesn't want to go 10 minutes, then maybe 7 minutes. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, you know, if you're paying for a ticket to go to the game and it goes to overtime, you're not going to look at your watch and say, well, I was only planning to be here for this long, so I'm going to leave now. It's not going to happen. Uh, so, I mean, if they go to 7 minutes or 10 minutes, people are still going to stay and they'd rather see that than go to a shootout. I'm sure. I know I would. Not that I'm a huge uh, guy that's against the shootout. Like I don't mind the shootout, but I would rather see overtime. I mean, in the
Right.
past they used to have they'd play overtime, then be a tie, and then nobody wins. I mean, way back in the day when we were first started watching. So
That's
I mean,
right.
that was that hockey was. I mean, the hockey back then compared to now was not as good, anyways. So I liked seeing the overtime, and even back then they would have overtime, and then if nobody scored, it would be a tie. So you know, I like having a decisive winner or loser for a game. So
Okay. All right. I saw that quote from McDavid. I thought it was interesting. I was like, man, I don't have a problem with the shootout personally. I kind of like it, but it's kind of lost its luster with me a little bit over the years. It's like, I would rather see them play more time. I just didn't know if the NHLPA would allow it, or if it had to be renegotiated somehow into their deal. Like I just wasn't sure how that all works.
yeah, well, I'm not sure. I know that once the CBA is open for discussion again, I mean, that's when they'd probably consider bringing up this type of topic. And I mean, if the players tell the Players Association to bring this up, obviously they will. I mean, I can't see the NHL being super opposed to it. Who knows? Maybe they'll both just say, "Yeah, you know what, we agree," and at some point they'll change that. But how far down the road that happens, I mean, it's tough to say.
Okay, Mike, let's go into our hockey profit segment. Now, we're going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions, and you are indeed the hockey prophet, or at least that's what I'm saying you are. Mike, are you ready for the hockey profit questions?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, let's go. Number one. After Wednesday's game, Drew Doughty was speaking about the speed of play. Is Drew Doughty just too damn old now?
Uh, I don't know. It's 50-50. I'm going to say no. I think he's still good.
Okay, number two. How injured did Sidney Crosby look on Wednesday, and how many points will he finish the tournament with?
He didn't look hurt at all. How many points will he finish with? I'm going to say I'm gonna be conservative, and I'm going to say 8.
Okay, all right, fair
We
enough.
talking like though the whole tournament, including like the playoffs, or
Yeah, the whole tournament. Yeah.
okay? I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to say 8. He's
Okay,
not
all
going to have
right,
3 points
fair
a game every game. I don't think.
enough. No, but he did have, he looked really good. I can say that.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, number three. Who is going to play goal for Team Canada against Team USA?
I think they probably got to stick with Bennington again, and then I think they're
Okay.
probably going to play Hill against Finland. That's my guess.
All right. Okay. Number four. Will the speed and the intensity of the first game last through the entire tournament? Because the game was fast, especially that overtime. It
Yeah,
was really fast.
yeah,
I
I,
think,
I definitely see that happening throughout. I don't think you're going to see a slow game at all. I think it's going to be high paced the whole way through.
okay, Mike. Well, number five, and I'm sure you'll be glad when this is all over with. Travis Sanheim, as you said, will draw into the lineup. Will he shine for Team Canada?
I don't think so. He's gonna get the third pair of minutes, which is probably about 15 minutes a game. So I don't think so. I'd like to think I'm wrong though, but I just think he's gonna be, trying to hold the fort down there.
Well, that's exactly 2 minutes, Mike. That's pretty good. So, good job, Mike. Good job. I know you have no idea what these questions are going to be, and you have to think right off the top of your head. That's kind of why we do it this way. So I'm glad that you get that, and I think you do a really good job. And I like putting you on the spot a little bit so that you have to think as we go along. Now, I did want to say, and I'm sure you'll agree, we want to wish the Philadelphia Eagles congratulations on their winning of the Super Bowl. Even though we talk everything hockey, we pay attention to the Super Bowl, and since it's Philadelphia, I just wanted the our listeners out there to know, or I wanted to ask you: is Philadelphia Eagles, is that your hockey team? Since you are a Philadelphia Flyers fan, are you a Philadelphia fan all the way around?
I don't mind the Eagles. However, I cheer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when it comes to football. So, um, but I was at the Eagles wild card game this year when I was in Philadelphia when they played Green Bay. So maybe I brought them a little luck. Who knows? But I think I think the Eagles getting Barkley for basically nothing because the
Right.
Giants let him go. I mean,
Yep.
that
That was
turning
crazy,
point
wasn't
right
it?
there. I don't think they would have won the Super Bowl without him. I don't know who did they name as the MVP. I didn't. Was it Barkley? Was he the MVP or?
You know what? I don't know.
Hmm.
Once it got to the end, I stopped watching, so I never actually heard who the MVP was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would think that it would have been him. If it wasn't him, it would have been Jalen Hurts, I would guess. But yeah, no, I cheer for the Bucks, and I've been cheering for the Bucks since the '80s when they had the orange creamsicle jerseys. So, and they were bad. They would win one game a year. They were like the worst team in the league for a good stretch, and then
Right.
then they got better as we at the end of the decade. So, and they've been
Yep.
okay there the last little while. I mean, getting Tom Brady when he came over, that was just the finishing touch right there was getting
Yep.
him and winning a Super
The,
Bowl. So.
the team was good, and they made themselves a lot better, and they ended up winning, just like it. Well, Brady always wins, right? Or seems
Well,
to.
I mean, the
So
thing is with Tom Brady is, and you've seen it when he was with New England, like players will go and take cheaper contracts because they know they have a good chance of winning with him
yep.
there.
And some
So
players
he's
want to win desperately.
exactly. So he's drawing in, you know, players to the team that might go and sign somewhere else. They're like, no, we're going to go play with Brady. So I mean, he brought Gronkowski out of retirement to go to Tampa Bay. So I mean,
Yep. He did.
It's that it factor basically, and I mean you're going to see it in hockey too. I mean, with the Oilers with McDavid, players are going to want to go there and play with him because, and I mean the Oilers, like I said, they signed some guys there this offseason, so um, I know that it's a little different in the NHL because of the salary cap. You can only do so much, but um, players are going to want to go and play with players like that. Same thing with like the McKinnons and the Crosbys and the Bedards. So, uh, and back when Chicago had Kane and Tays, like
Right. Yep.
that's the thing. Whenever players see, okay, you know what, this team's, I'll take a little less to go play on that team for obvious reasons, chance to win the cup. So, you'll see that more, I think, too in the NHL. Maybe not to the extent of like the NFL or the NBA because the NBA, well, even the MLB, like there's teams that are just loading up teams now. Like the NBA, you've got the Golden State had their team was loaded there a couple of years back, and
Yep.
they were winning championships. And in baseball, the Dodgers, like I don't know where they're getting the money to pay all these guys, but no
Well, I can
salary.
tell you that the
So, I
I
mean,
can tell you that the prices at the Dodger Stadium, because I was in Anaheim watching the game, that the lady sitting next to me said the prices there are much higher for everything. So
yeah,
that's part of it. Oh, obviously they have a very good TV contract too. So
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too is with the other sports, they have better TV deals than what the NHL does. So, which is why the NHL is the out of the four sports, it's the lowest paying one. So,
yeah.
but
So I want to get back to hockey here just a little bit before we go.
yeah,
What are you expecting in this game tomorrow night between Team Canada and Team USA?
I expect it to be a lot more physical. I mean, the game last night with Finland and the States, I mean, the Tachuks were out there just hammering everybody. So it's you're gonna see more of the same. It worked last night. Each of them scored 2 goals.
Yeah, they
So
did. I saw that.
so I think you're gonna see a far more physical game, Canada and the U.S. than what we've seen so far. Um, I'm hoping it's going to be a good game, and generally, Canada versus the States is always a good game. Uh, yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Expect it to be very physical.
So Wednesday's game, we had a total of two penalties, one for each team. What's going to be the total penalty count tomorrow
Oh,
night?
boys. Geez, I'm going to say each team's going to have 4 to 5 for
Yeah,
sure.
well, that's what I was
Maybe
thinking.
more, but I think each team's going to have at least 4 to 5. And, I, we'll see in the first period how that goes. And if they might have 4 or 5 alone in the first period, but it's gonna be a physical game, and I think the referees are gonna want to try to keep it in line as much as possible, uh, just so it doesn't get out of hand. Because I can see this. Uh, if the Tachuks play anywhere as close to what they did against the Finns, I mean the Canadians would probably be um, they might take it a little less than what the Finns did because they'll hit back. Not saying that the Finns didn't play hard. I'm just saying that because of the Canada-U.S. rivalry, the Canadians are gonna want to give it back just as much to prove that we're still the number one hockey nation. So yeah, it's gonna be a good game, I think.
Okay, is there anything else you wanted to add to tonight's discussion, Mike?
Um, No, I mean nothing right offhand. I mean, the thing that just drives me crazy is the fact that we haven't had hockey for basic. It feels like so long up until Wednesday. Like
Yeah, I know.
I'm used to watching a game every night and all week this week, and like no games on Monday, no games on Tuesday, and then Wednesday one game. I'm used to watching multiple games, so it's a
Right,
little throws me off my out of my rhythm, I guess you might want to say. So.
right. And we're recording here on Friday, and there's no game tonight either.
Right. Yeah, I was surprised. I figured that they would have, but then again, with only four teams, the only way they could have a game tonight is if somebody was playing back to back. So,
Yeah, and they didn't want to do that. That's obvious why there's no
yeah,
game tonight.
yeah,
Hopefully, the next time they do this, there's going to be more teams. I'm hoping that this whole Russia thing is settled and that Team Russia is allowed back into this
right.
sort of
Well, I
thing.
know for when they were talking about the World Cup in 2026, they were talking about more teams in that. They didn't, I don't recall if they said anything specific, but I'm pretty sure they were talking about Czechia and
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Slovakia,
Right.
or a European team, something to that effect. So, um, yeah, so I mean, they got to have at least six for the World Cup. They can't go less than that. Ideally, I'd like to see them with eight. So, if they were to put in additional teams, they would have uh, Czechia, hopefully Russia, and then the other two teams, I think, would be similar to what they did at the last one, where they had like North American All Stars and then the Team Europe, which was, a mix of players from all over Europe that weren't represented with a specific team. So,
Right. Right. Well, I hope it happens, and
yeah,
to be honest, I think it will eventually happen. So, I mean,
I think so too. I mean, Donald Trump has all the answers, doesn't he?
of course, maybe he should be commissioner of the NHL.
he might make the NHL what, the 52nd state, because Canada's obviously going to be the 51st.
That's right. So, okay. Well, folks, on that crazy note, we'll leave it there. So, like, share, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments section where we went wrong. And I have a feeling maybe our comments tonight may lead some people to think we are wrong. So, we'll see you next week, folks. Later.
Later.